Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 more, as always, absolutely amazing horror books for you to read. One of them is going to be a pre-order. The other ones are already out. One of them's a little bit older, but man, it packs a punch. But these are all books, of course, that I think you will enjoy, that you'll want to read. Something to help you on those sleepless, stormy nights. Before we get started, I want to remind you that I have horror books for sale, including my debut horror novel, Pray for Salvation. You can find that one, and you can find all the rest. There is a link in the description. And don't forget to check out my Patreon. You can get copies of all my books over there for free. And every month I also include free short horror stories and other things for my Patreon members, so be sure to check that out. And if you like merch, well, I got you covered here. Horror is my happy place. T-shirts, sweatshirts, and coffee mugs. So there's a link down below for that as well. All right, let's get started. So the first book I want to talk about today is called We Used to Live Here. The thing about this book is that it starts out a certain way, and you think you know what kind of book it's going to be, but by the end, you just realize that it was not the book you thought it was going to be, because the point of this book is that everything can get much, much worse than what you could previously imagine. This is about a queer couple, these 2 women who buy and flip houses. They buy them cheap, they fix them up, and then sell them for a profit. And they found a really good deal on this old, really quite a fixer-upper kind of big, sprawling house. They couldn't pass it up though. They decide they're going to take up to a year to either demolish it or refurbish it so that they can go ahead and sell it. But on their first night there, one of them goes into town to go to the store and get something to eat. It's kind of a dark, stormy kind of night, you know. And there's a knock on the door. And the woman that stays back, she answers the door, and standing there is a family, like a husband and a wife, and they got 2 kids, and typical normal family. She doesn't understand what they're doing there, but apparently they're moving to Minnesota, and since they were in the area, the husband wanted to stop by because he tells her, "Hey, I used to live here. I grew up in this house, and I just want to show my family a little bit more about me and where I grew up, and I was wondering if I could come in 10 minutes tops and give them the tour." She doesn't want to at first, but reluctantly she does agree because it is a dark and stormy night, and you know, they seem like just a regular mild normal family, but they're not. And things are going to get worse. And my first thought was that this is a home invasion kind of story with the family that does this. And that would have been horrifying enough. But this one's going to go in a whole different direction as the story progresses. Because even after the other woman gets home, it becomes obvious that there's something a little bit wrong with this family. Something weird, little odd things they say and they do. And then when the storm hits full force, this family can't leave. They are actually snowed in. They're not going to be able to leave. But as we find out more secrets about this house and why they are actually there in the first place, that's when the terror really kicks in, because it just turns into something beyond what you can imagine. It might be kind of a home invasion kind of story, perhaps. It might be a haunted house story, perhaps. But there's something much more malevolent going on in that house that we'll find out. And being trapped in that house, of course, it's very claustrophobic. And you have to put yourself in their shoes, like what would you do if this situation were happening to you? And it makes for a very frightening, very tense book. I absolutely love this one. I highly recommend it to you, and there is a link down below where you can pick up your copy through Amazon. And next we have A Prayer for the Dying. This one came out a a few years ago. I forget the exact year, but it's new to me because this is the first time I've heard of it, first time I've read it. And man, this one is all kinds of creepy because the antagonist in this novel isn't a person. It's a disease. And this is set shortly after the Civil War in a small town called Friendship. And in this town, there's a man. He has a wife and a kid. He's not only the town sheriff, but he's also the town's undertaker, and he's also the town's preacher. He fulfills all these roles because he is kind of haunted by some of the atrocities he's seen and experienced during the Civil War. But he takes all three of these roles in this town very, very seriously. And when a disease strikes, an epidemic begins, a disease that has no cure, a disease with a 100% mortality rate, and a disease which leaves its victims in great suffering and pain before they finally succumb to it. And when that starts happening in his town, he and the doctor have to decide how to handle it. And they might be at odds with each other sometime, but when the bodies start piling up and when it's obvious that this thing cannot be controlled as it ravages this entire town, and he sees his little world that he's created start crumbling down around him, and horrible decisions that he and this doctor have to make on how to stop it from spreading to other towns in the area and getting outside of their control. That could be quarantines. They might have to burn the bodies. They might have to burn some bodies alive that are infected in order to stop them from leaving, because people do not like to be quarantined. And this book was written pre-pandemic, but there's so many, it's almost prophetic in how these town people dealt with the order that they have to be quarantined and then they can't leave town and nobody can come into town at a certain point. The way they reacted to it will remind you very much of certain people when things like that happened during the pandemic, although it was written before that, so maybe a prophecy perhaps. But this book is going to get gruesome because as it affects everybody in the town and it starts affecting people close to home, this man, the town's champion, the man who just wants to protect everybody, has to make these decisions, and he starts becoming unraveled as his demons from the Civil War start taking effect. And this whole book gives some creepy vibes. I can't tell you what happens, but there's certain sections where you're like, oh man, you can tell that he is just slowly losing his mind while trying to keep a authoritative face in this town and try to control it the best he can. But the body count in this one is high. Those decisions they have to make are horrifying, and it just gets creepier and creepier as it goes on. And in the meantime, he has faith in God. He believes in God. He wants to, but that is starting to wane as well. And yeah, this book is just fantastic. Like I said, the antagonist is this unstoppable, highly contagious disease that they all have to deal with. This one's fantastic. It absolutely will affect you emotionally. It's a very emotional book, and I highly, highly recommend it. And again, there's a link where you can pick up your copy down in the description. And next we have Silent Mine. This one's not coming out until August 30th, so you know, a little bit later this month, but it's definitely one you want to pre-order. This is about a man. Again, this one is set in the Wild West, and it's about a man. He's a loner. He's a nomad. He travels from place to place, and he takes jobs wherever he can. He'll build houses. He'll be a carpenter. He'll be a bounty hunter. It doesn't matter to him. He's really good with a gun. He's really good with his hands, so whatever he can get. And in this case, he's going to this town to check on the whereabouts of a man a woman is hired in to find, her husband. He was last known to be in this town where there's a mine on the outskirts, up in the mountains. And he was going there to try to get rich, you know, find some gold in the mines. But he never came back, and she's never heard from him again, so he's determined to do this job. When he goes into this town where the mine is at, everybody tells him, stay away. Nothing good can come up there. Nothing good can come from going up there. There's nothing but bad things in there because people go in, they never come out. Even the native population around there avoid that mine like the plague because according to them, there be monsters in there that have come up from the ground during an earthquake years ago, and that mine is their home. And but he's not believing it. He has a job to do. He's getting paid very good money for that time to do the job. So he's determined he's going to go to the mine, just see what he can see if he can either find this man's body or maybe find him actually living a wild life away from his family. Whatever, he needs to do this. But oh my goodness. If you like the movie The Descent, think about that with gunslingers. And you're going to get the idea of what this book is. Because inside that mine, there are creatures. Undescribably terrifying creatures. And there's not just a few of them. There are literally hundreds in this system. And as he gets further in, he realizes that they are aware of his presence, that they have trapped him. And now it's a matter of survival. And he is way outnumbered. He does not have enough bullets to get out of this one. So it becomes a matter of literal life or death every move he makes. And and inside this cave, you know, it's claustrophobic and it's stifling. There's literally things that could kill you everywhere. And is he going to be able to survive? Or is that going to be his final resting place? Because he is going to see some things in that mine, besides the creatures, that indicate that they've been doing this for a very long time, and they are very, very hungry. Let's put it that way. Man, this one gets exciting. It gets terrifying. It's got all them Wild West vibes on his way to the mine, where even some human interactions turn out to be pretty dangerous at times, and he has to defend himself. So it's got all them great Western vibes. And then when he gets to the cave, it turns into this horrifying creature feature. And it's pulse pounding, and it's a lot of action. And yeah, this one is absolutely perfect to read at night in a dark, scary place. I love this one. I highly recommend it. And as always, there's a link where you can pick up your copy in the description. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.